Hello, this is Ali with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I bring to you part 2 of How to Love Your Body. So, if you haven't watched part 1, I put the link down below, please go watch that first. So basically, to recap, in part 1, I gave you the challenge to no longer say negative things about your body. And the reason that I wanted to give you that challenge first is because I know from first-hand experience and from working with lots of people that in our society, it's super common for us to scapegoat what we're really feeling, what's really going on inside of us, what we're actually dealing with onto our bodies, right? And we do that by complaining about our body. So like I was talking about in the last video, it's like when we complain about our body, it like lets off a little bit of that like steam on the top of our self-hate or our just like anything that can be going on. It can be lack of self-expression, it can be lack of creative expression, it can be lack of saying what you really mean or saying what you really feel, or lack of boundaries, blah, 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 blah. It can be a lot of different things. And when we complain about our body, it kind of like it lets off that steam, but it doesn't actually deal with what's going on under the surface. So we wind up in this hamster wheel where we're just constantly complaining about our bodies. It sort of makes us feel better, but really it doesn't. And like I say, because we're never actually dealing with what's really going on inside, we don't ever get to a place where we start to feel better or where we even understand what's actually going on so that we can move towards feeling better. So if you're doing this practice and you've started making the rule that you're not going to complain about your body, like I say in the last video, it might get really intense for a little while where you just feel like, no, it's definitely about my body, and if I could just complain about my body, I'd feel so much better. But I just want to encourage you to like keep going, because eventually you will see what's really going on. And if you just make it your rule that you're just not going to complain about your body, eventually, like you take that tool away from yourself, eventually what is really going on is going to come to the surface, and you'll feel so much better expressing that, okay? So that's part 1. Part 2, today we're going to talk about food, okay? So this is a super important thing that I feel like none of us talk about, because I don't think very many people understand that this is what's happening, and this is a super important step to take when you want to move towards loving your body, okay? So basically my second tool is remove the idea that any food that you consume is good or bad, okay? So all food is just food, right? So this may sound super simple, like, okay, I don't label food as good and bad, whatever. How could that be profound? How could that help me love my body? Okay, so first things first, your brain, when you label food as good or you label food as bad, so particularly when you label food as bad, your brain cannot understand that, okay? Your brain, deep down, cannot understand feeling guilty or feeling bad about eating, because eating is a basic function, a basic need of your survival. Okay, so your brain cannot understand feeling guilty about doing something that is innate for you to survive. Okay, so what happens when we label food as bad and we consume that food, the only way that your brain can make sense of it is it labels you as bad. Okay, so I need you to understand how profound that is. When you label food as bad and you consume that food, you are essentially deciding in your own brain that you are a bad person, okay? And this sets us up for a gigantic spiral that gets us all twisted up with food and our bodies, and it really causes a whole bunch of problems, okay? Because, so basically piggybacking on that idea, when we are eating food that we have said is good or that we have said is bad, what we are saying is that I am good for eating this, I am bad for eating that. And when we are looking to find our virtue based on what we're eating, we get really confused, because food and our bodies were never designed to give us our virtue and our value. All right? So this is a huge and important thing to understand, that when we label food as good and bad, and then same thing, when we label our bodies as good or bad, what we are really saying is, I am finding my virtue, I am finding my value in my diet and in my body. And food and your body were never meant to serve that role. All right? So when we do this, we actually set ourselves up for a big kind of So basically what we do when we're doing this is we're setting ourselves into a state of resistance, okay? So we've labeled these foods as bad. We've labeled our body needing, like, if it's this weight or this size or this shape or any blah, 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 it's bad, right? So what we've done is we've set ourselves up into a state of resistance to these foods and our bodies being this way because we are continually looking to feel good. We are continually looking for our virtue and our value. And now when we've done that, when we are doing this and placed our virtue and our value on something outside of ourselves, be our body and food, right? We set ourselves up to be in a state of resistance to what is bad and a state of attraction to what is good. So if we understand the law of polarity, this means as you resist this to the exact degree that you are resisting what is bad, you will ping towards what is bad, right? We know that when you pull yourself really far in this direction, you're going to bounce back and you're going to go all the way in that direction. See, and we've seen this over and over and over again in diets and in lifestyle programs where we're trying so hard to be good. We go so far. We're like raw vegan, we're juice fasting, we're doing all these amazing things, we're exercising every day, da 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 da. And then the bounce back is even worse than what we were doing before we went on this diet that was good, right? Like we go all the way back to eating only cookies and ice cream and never exercising, right? And we're constantly pinging back and forth between, like, basically we get ourselves into a state where we feel such immense guilt for doing these bad things, right? For eating bad, not exercising, da 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 da, that it causes us to ping all the way the other way, to be really extreme. So we're exercising every day, we're eating only green leafy vegetables and avocado, and we're meditating and we're doing all this self-care, blah, 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 right? And that actually, because we are looking to the outside to find our value, causes resistance, right? So now we're building up all this resistance to all this stuff over here. We're building up resistance to the bad food. We're building up resistance to the exercise. We're not exercising. We're building up to resistance to all these things that make us bad, right? And what's that going to do? It's going to cause that polarity effect to cause you to bounce back all the way the other way, right? And then it will cause a whole bunch of guilt. You'll bounce back the other way, build up a whole bunch of resistance, bounce back, guilt, right? You see this pattern that I'm talking about, and I know that you know this pattern because you've probably been through this pattern, right? So when we are labeling food and when we are labeling our bodies as good and bad, we are subconsciously looking for our value in these external things, which immediately builds up resistance and causes polarity, right? So then we just bounce back and forth on this cycle that never ends, right? I'm doing bad things, now I'm doing good things, now I'm doing bad things, now I'm doing good things. And then we convince ourselves, we get super convinced that I truly do feel good about myself when I'm thin. I truly do feel good about myself when I'm eating healthy. I truly do feel good about myself when I'm doing this thing. And therefore, I cannot feel good about myself when I eat bad stuff. I cannot feel good about myself when my body is not good. I cannot feel good about myself, blah, 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 blah. And the reason we've done that, again, is because we have decided in our brains that these things are good and therefore make us good. And so we give ourselves permission to feel good when we are doing these things and remove all permission up for ourselves to feel good when we are not doing those things, right? And like I say, we set ourselves up to just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, right? So this is why step 2, tool number 2, is to remove all labels from food and to remove all labels from your body, right? So when you start to say, okay, this food is bad, this food is good. This food is bad, this food is good. This diet is bad, this diet is good. This size is bad, this size is good. This weight is bad, this weight is good. Just know that when you do that, right, you're going to continually set yourself up for this spiral. So instead of doing that, what you're going to do is you're going to start to look at food and you're going to start to look at your body and you're going to say, this is neutral. This is just food. This is just food. This food has no bearing on my value or my virtue. This is just my body. It has no bearing on my value or my virtue. And neither of these two things were designed to allow me to feel good about myself or allow me to feel bad about myself, okay? Because they're constantly changing. It's constantly in flux. Your body is never going to be consistent. Your diet is never going to be consistent. Things are always going to happen. And if you are looking to that to tell you whether or not you can feel good about yourself, whether or not you can feel valuable, whether or not you can feel worthy, whether or not you can feel awesome, you are going to set yourself up for a lifetime where you're constantly resisting these things, you're afraid of these things, it's not good, and you're constantly pinging back and forth between feeling good about yourself and feeling bad about yourself. Something changes with your body, you have to feel bad about yourself. Something changes with your diet, you have to feel bad about yourself. That sucks, right? That's not a good place to be. And like I say, it's going to be a constant cycle. You're never going to find your neutral, okay? So long as you're on the diet train and on the body improvement train, trying to make yourself feel good, right? Essentially looking for this external thing to give you permission to feel good about yourself, you're always going to be in a cycle of feeling good, feeling bad, feeling good, feeling bad, feeling good, feeling bad, and it sucks, okay? So you're gonna say, food is neutral, my body is neutral. That's the first thing. Whenever you catch yourself saying, okay, this food is good, this food is bad, this food is good, this food, no, this is just food. These are macronutrients. These are vitamins and minerals. This is water and fiber that I'm going to put in my face, and it's going to digest and break down and become my cells. That's it. That's what food is. Okay? Food is chemistry. My body is chemistry, right? Next, step number 2. You get yourself a positive aspect journal. So Teal Swan talks about this all the time, the positive aspect journal, okay? And you're going to create a journal for yourself, 10 minutes every single night. You're going to sit down and you're going to write down what you appreciate and love and accept and adore and like about yourself. All right? And so this can be anything. This can be like, I brushed my teeth twice today. I accomplished getting out of bed today. I like my hair. I like that I have nice lips. I like that I'm nice to people. I like whatever. Okay? You're just going to spend 10 minutes a day acknowledging yourself. Because here's what we do in this society, right? So not only are we looking outside of ourselves all the time to find our virtue and find our value, right? And then we place it on the body and we place it on food because that's something that we're doing all day long. And that is very available and everyone can do that, right? We do this. And then, so now we're acutely aware of every single time we mess up. We're acutely aware of every single time we're bad. We're acutely aware of every single time we ate something we didn't want to eat. Or, and then expand that out, we're acutely aware of every single time we have a goal and we didn't meet it. We said we were going to exercise and we didn't. We had a deadline at work and we didn't meet it, blah, 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 blah. We're so acutely aware of all of our failings, okay? But the second we accomplish something, the second we achieve something, the second we do something good, that's not something that we celebrate. That's now just a 0 point. That's just the set point that now, okay, so I was able to eat 100% raw vegan and exercise today. I'm not going to pat myself on the back for that. That's my new set point. So now anytime I don't do that, I suck. You see what I'm saying? We don't ever pat ourselves on the back. We don't ever give ourselves any acknowledgement for any of the things that we do, any of the things that we accomplish, any of the things that would even make us good. We're only ever acknowledging the things that make us bad and therefore constantly resisting them, and it sets up this whole crazy cycle, okay? So you're going to get yourself a positive aspect journal and you're just going to list for 10 minutes a night the things that you appreciate and love and accept about yourself. And yes, some of these things can be things that you've done. Some of these things can be things on the outside. That's fine, okay? Because the thing is, if you're doing this for 10 minutes every single night, eventually you're going to run out of external stuff and you're going to have to start to look inside for the things that are actually you that make you feel good about yourself, okay? And doing this practice, you're going to start to notice how it feels to feel good about yourself, right? You're going to start to notice that, okay, I'm sitting here writing down all these positive things about myself and I actually kind of bolstered my self-esteem. And hey, look at that. My body hasn't changed at all. Maybe I can feel good about myself no matter how my body looks. Or hey, I just, listed all these awesome things about myself and I didn't eat perfect today and yet I still feel good about myself. So maybe I don't have to eat this perfect diet in order to feel good about myself. You see what I'm saying? I want you to start to train yourself to see that it is not a rule that you have to feel bad about yourself when you eat bad, that you have to feel bad about yourself when you gain weight, that you have to feel bad about yourself when any of these external things happen, that you can start to feel good about yourself no matter what's going on, okay? And you do that by starting to acknowledge the things about you that are good, the things about you that give you your value and your virtue. And you start to, basically, you just start to build up that self-esteem, okay? So food is neutral, your body is neutral. What do you actually appreciate about yourself, okay? Start giving yourself permission to feel good about you. Start giving yourself permission to feel valuable, to feel virtuous, to feel like you are good, right? Outside of that stuff, right? And so that's step 2. Stop labeling food as good and bad, stop labeling your body as good and bad, and start to acknowledge what actually makes you good. Okay? And so that's going to be my tool number 2. You stop labeling food and you start acknowledging yourself. And I'm pretty sure that's all I had to say on that. Yes. Okay? So start finding your virtue, start finding your value outside of food and outside of your body, and it will start to blow your world wide open, I promise. Okay? So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you. Obviously, like this video, subscribe, share, do all that great stuff if you like. And find me on Facebook, Perception Trainers. Find me on Instagram, Ali_Perception Trainers. And finally, if you are interested in doing my Perception Diet telecourse, so basically what it is we have a weekly webinar style meeting once a week for 7 weeks. Where we just go through the chapters of the book together and go through the exercises together and expand on it and talk and all that stuff. And it's really fun and it's really great and I love doing it, so it's really fun if you guys want to join. So if you are interested in that, leave a comment down below or send me an email to theperceptiontrainers@gmail.com and we will start to set that up if you guys want to do that. Alright, and I will see you in the next video for part 3. Talk to you later.